This collaborative journaling idea has become one of my go-to absolute favorite virtual team activities. I stumbled across it by mistake, but just yesterday actually, I was giving a keynote to 300 people at an ed tech company virtually, and I led this exercise, and my client at the end of the session had this to say: home run. And then I got a LinkedIn message, a series of LinkedIn messages afterward, one of which said, oh my goodness, this was the best session, even comparing in-person and virtual sessions, this was the best session I've ever attended. And I think that the activity that I'm gonna unpack in this video is a big reason why the session that I led was such a home run. Because believe me, all the activities and all the sessions I've ever led haven't been home runs. I've made enough mistakes at this point, and I've learned what has worked really well after facilitating tens of thousands of people through virtual team activities. What I love so much about this exercise is that it's super flexible. It has the potential to boost morale and make your group feel really appreciated, all in the span of 3 minutes, or stretched out to 30 minutes, depending on how you want to facilitate it. And by the end of this video, what is in my brain will be in yours. Let's go. The other little bonus feature that this live collaborative journaling exercise has is that it's super introvert friendly. You know, typically when we think about icebreakers or team building kind of stuff, sometimes we get a little superfluous, and there's not often a lot of time carved out for this category of self-reflection, right? And so this is a very, very introvert-friendly exercise. It's also very healthy and good for people who tend to be extroverted as well. Now, in order to share how this exercise came about, I need to tell you about a major failure of mine, or partially failure of mine, partially failure of Zoom's. But I was giving a separate keynote at a university for 400 staff. And I went to do breakout rooms, 50 breakout rooms. Did not work. It started sending people like one at a time, 2 seconds apart. It was just not good, right? It completely failed. And so I had this whole interactive keynote mapped out that we're gonna do a series of breakouts, and now the number of breakouts that we could do was reduced to 0. And so really quickly, I had to figure out and come up with an alternative that for me accomplished the intention and the purpose of breakouts. And the intention and the purpose of doing really interactive breakouts or any team activity is to bring people together, to make them feel connected, to make them feel appreciated, to invite the group's collective wisdom, and to have fun, right? To actually enjoy the process. So after I kerfuffled around for a little bit, what I eventually settled on was this idea of live journaling. I didn't have the language for it at the time, and I've since refined it, and I'm gonna unpack the exact way that I actually facilitate it so that you can just steal it, rip it off, and apply it to your own context. The idea behind all this is that typically the chat is used for sips of connection, right? It's like, hey, welcome to the webinar, where are you from? And people like type in a state, or some other like quick one word, one phrase answer question of like, hey, can you hear me? Yes or no? On a scale of 1 to 10, how is this meeting going for you? And you know, people are using it to just type sips into the chat. But Zoom does not put a limit on, or they do put a limit, but it's a fairly large limit of the number of characters that can go in a single chat message. And so I don't know about you, but if it's a hot summer day and I haven't had a drink of water all day, I am not going to go over to my nice ice cold water bottle and take a sip, right? I'm gonna take, ooh, I kind of needed that. I'm gonna take a gulp. And the reason you take gulps when you're thirsty is to satisfy that thirst. The reason we do team activities is to feel connected. And I don't think sips and little bites of connection actually get us there. And so what I have done, and the way that I've refined this exercise, is I pick 2 songs, both instrumental, both upbeat and reflective. The first one I wanna make a little bit slower and more pensive. And then the second one, I wanna get it moving a little bit. For the first song, I invite people to journal in the chat, but not hit send. Right, so for a minute or 2, people are just typing based on a prompt. This is kind of an essential part that I forgot. So the group that I did this with in the virtual keynote yesterday, The question or the prompt was, what is life teaching you right now about selling virtually, right? So it was a group of 300 sales leaders at an ed tech company. And so I want to know, what is life teaching you right now about selling virtually? And so they live journaled, everybody typed in, and I said, in the way that I framed it, I said, instead of a sip and a little phrase or a little like quippy quote, take a minute, actually reflect. What is life teaching you? Think about some of the meetings you've had with potential clients. Think about some of the successful and not so successful conversations you've had. And what were the defining moments? What is life teaching you? And turn that into a few sentences, a paragraph. And when you're done, hit enter. And so that was the aim for the entire first song, which lasted about 2 to 3 minutes. 3 to 4 minutes. The next song, a little bit more upbeat, still instrumental, invited people to become a miner and steal and harvest some gems from the chat. So right now we've got 300 really brilliant teachings and wisdoms from people's colleagues and peers that are in the chat, right? This should be turned into a book, and each paragraph should be the intro to a chapter of that book. Actually, let's just do the math. Let's say that in that 2 to 3 minutes, people wrote on average 100 words times 300 people. I don't know that I need a calculator for this. That's 30,000 words. Me and Will's book, Ask Powerful Questions, is 60,000 words, which means that this collaborative live journaling, we literally wrote a decent sized book in 3 minutes, all about learnings about a particular prompt that you've given to people. And now I use the question, what is life teaching you? But you also can pick whatever prompt will serve your group in that moment. The point is to raise the level of depth that's happening in the chat in the form of writing. I think this idea kind of pulls from wisdom that Amazon has adopted, where they start off a lot of executive meetings by just reading a narrative summary of whatever it is they're going to talk about. So everybody has the exact same words, the exact same language, the exact same graphs in their brain before the meeting even begins, right? So literally people just sitting around in silence, reading what's happening. I don't know why we don't do that in meetings more often, because one of the most slow way to transmit information is talking. Right? It's one of the most slow ways, because you have to think about it and then you utter it out, and sometimes it's not as clear, and so you double back and people ask questions, right? It's just a really slow way to exchange information, whereas writing allows us to transmit a whole lot of data in a pretty succinct format with no ums, uhs, or buts, and yet we're still using the chat for, where are you from? Can you hear me? Etc. So if you totally love this idea of collaborative live journaling, but you need some prompts to get started, like this one, there is a link to 60 of these questions that are free and digitally available at the link below. And you can also get the actual deck that they come from, called We Connect cards, shipped to you as well. There is something, I will say, there is something very cool and useful about not screen sharing when you're doing this activity, and inviting, or actually holding up your question to the camera, right? There's just something that visual novelty that it creates this shielded discussion that makes it a thing for people, where they're like, oh, we're really doing this. He planned out this activity. She planned out this exercise. I'm gonna put some effort and intention into it. Obviously, it works a lot better if it's connected to the purpose of why you're doing it. If you liked this video, you will love this playlist on how to make virtual engagement and connection really easy. I'm Chad Littlefield, lovely hanging out in cyberspace with you. Have an awesome day.